The death of Britain vision that Merlin saw in the first episode of The Winter King lays the groundwork for the fantasy epic's ultimate antagonist. The story of King Arthur has been reimagined several times for both the big and small screens, beginning with Richard Harris's musical Camelot in 1966, and continuing with BBC's Merlin and Guy Ritchie's King Arthur, Legend of the Sword in 2017, all of which were unsuccessful attempts to launch new franchises. The narrative of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table has long been a source of inspiration for filmmakers and novelists. Bernard Cornwell's The Warlord Chronicles, a trilogy of books that began with 1995's The Winter King, is widely regarded as one of the most celebrated literary interpretations on the story of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table. The story of Cornwall's Winter King included elements of Arthurian mythology as well as historical reality. Ian de Seestaker was cast in the role of Arthur in the Winter King television show. Arthur is the illegitimate son of King Uther Pendragon and is exiled from Britain. Years later, when his father's realm is under danger, Arthur makes his way back to Britain. In the first episode of The Winter King, Uther becomes the father of a new heir who is given the name Mordred. However, not long after the kid is born, Merlin gets a horrific vision of what would occur if Mordred becomes king. What does Merlin's vision about the death of Britain actually show, and what does it mean? In the first episode of The Winter King, as Merlin is holding the newborn infant, he experiences a disturbing vision of an adult Mordred wielding an axe while wearing a golden mask and wearing a hood over his face. He is seen decapitating individuals, with pools of blood freely pouring from a pile of corpses, as screaming can be heard in the background from the victims. Naturally, this causes Merlin a great deal of concern, and he expresses his unease to Uther by claiming that the boy possesses evil that will fester and intensify with the passage of time. Merlin is under the impression that if Mordred is crowned king, the land would be enslaved under the rule of a tyrant who will carry out the Saxons' wishes. In a nutshell, Merlin foresees the death of Britain itself in the event that Mordred is crowned king. Uther chooses not to follow Merlin's warnings or make contact with the banished Arthur in order to bring him back home. Merlin makes the decision to go find Arthur on his own, despite Uther's warning that if he does so, he would likewise be sent out of the kingdom. Mordred is destined to become the last antagonist of the Winter King storyline. Only time will tell if the Winter King will follow in the footsteps of Game of Thrones and become a smashing hit, adapting each and every novel in the series, or if it will even survive the first season. Those who are familiar with the Arthurian tale will likely recall that Mordred turns out to be the monster that Merlin foretells, and in the Warlord Chronicles, he develops from a youngster who takes pleasure in causing pain to a king who is unfit for the throne. This causes Arthur to have second thoughts about his promise to protect him, a process that takes place throughout the second and third books of Cornwell's trilogy. It is to be hoped that The Winter King is well received by fans, since it has the makings of being one of the most compelling new fantasy dramas on television. If you enjoyed the video and would be interested in receiving these breakdowns, you are strongly encouraged to express your appreciation by liking the video and signing up for the channel. I am grateful that you have paid attention to what I have to say and have taken the time to hear me out.